Dana, just a quick 97 questions from me.
Yeah.
Hey, we had a positive test this week. We haven't seen that, but it was a little different this time because it was a fighter that fought here 3 weeks ago. So I'm curious, did that trigger any kind of added protocol or anything different that had to be done?
It's going to happen. If you look at how many fights we've been pulling off with how many fighters, very few people, including my staff, everybody have tested positive. So people are going to test positive. Yeah. We said that day one. It's going to happen.
I think the question was because he fought here a couple weeks ago. Obviously, he would have been negative at the time or wouldn't have been able to fight. But does that make you do anything different, or there added steps?
It means he went somewhere in between then and now, and he picked it up.
Fair enough. Fight Island is now all official. The fights are official. Curious, if we were into a situation like this in Fight Island, are there late replacements available? Is there a way to have people switch out there?
No. No. We're making sure that everybody that goes over to Fight Island is negative. We're going to make sure everybody's tested.
Nice. When do the fighters start getting to Fight Island? I'm curious, is it just a typical like Tuesday arrival for a Saturday fight, or do they got to get there sooner? What's the plan?
Off the top of my head, I don't even know. I'm doing a bunch of traveling the next few weeks too, so I'm going on like the 5th. I'll get there the 5th, and I don't know what they have planned. The team has that all mapped out when everybody will get there and how that's all going to go.
You had a big, bunch of bout announcements yesterday. I think one big one that's out there that we don't know yet is Adesanya and Costa. Everybody's looking forward to that fight. What can you tell us on the update of what's going on with that one?
Well, there really isn't an update on that one. I was talking to Megan O'Leary, and I was laying out how champions are fighting number one contenders right now, like all across the board, which is cool. And, the fights that we have lined up for this summer are awesome. August is ridiculous. August is insane. And then you know how that usually works out as we end the year going into the fall. There's always killer fights going into the fall too. So, I mean, with all the madness that's going on in this world right now, this thing is just it's so good right now. Everything is so good right now in the UFC world.
Is it delay with them? Is it like contractual stuff, like getting it done? I mean, that's the fight to make, right? That's the fight everybody wants to see.
What?
Adesanya.
Oh, yeah. No, that fight's happening. Yeah.
Fair enough. Habib took to Instagram yesterday, teased he's got big news coming. We know the unification fight is supposed to happen. Is there an update, or is that what he's teasing? Do we have a plan?
I have no idea what he's doing. But, yeah, he's fighting. He'll be fighting this fall.
Fair enough. And that'll be the Gaethje fight?
Yes.
Absolutely. And last one I wanted to ask you was Jon Jones. It's been a couple weeks since he kind of said he wanted to give up the belt. Have you guys made a decision on what you want to do at 205, what the direction is at 205 right now?
No. Nothing yet.
Hey, Dana. Did you see yesterday Mike Perry posted a video of himself with a bloodied hand?
Yeah.
Is that fight still on?
It's old.
Okay.
Yeah, that's an old video.
He's just playing tricks on us?
Yeah.
Cool. With The Ultimate Fighter, you're talking about bringing it back. Reality TV sort of moved on over the past few years. Are you looking to bring it back more like the Contender Series, how it was originally? Are you going to do any tweaks to that?
The Ultimate Fighter?
Yeah.
Yeah, The Ultimate Fighter will be tweaked and be a little different, but listen, it was a good formula. You know, if it ain't broke, don't fuck with it.
Earlier this week, we saw another MMA promotion made layoffs to their staff. No one wants to see people laid off, but does that make you feel vindicated about how hard this actually is and how people aren't giving you enough?
No, I know how hard this is. Believe me. I told you, you guys, most of you have known me for a very long time. Whether you like me, you hate me, you don't agree with me, you agree with me. When I come out and tell you something's the hardest thing that I've ever done, this is the hardest thing I've ever done. You know, there were a lot of powerful forces battling against us for it not to happen. And I don't wish that on anybody. I know everybody, thinks that I hate all these. I don't hate all these other groups. All these other groups need to survive for this thing to work for everybody. And, people getting laid off and losing their jobs. No, I don't wish that on anybody, ever.
This is somewhat of a depressing question, but the COVID numbers are sort of going up across the country. Do you guys have a contingency in plan if there's another lockdown later this year?
Yeah, I told you guys going into this thing, I'm always thinking about what's next. And one of the frustrating parts about this whole thing is, 4 months, I keep telling the story. I was telling it again this morning. 4 months ago, I could have told you anything about this business, where we were going, what was going to happen. I don't know. I don't know now. So all I do is sit around and strategize and try to plan. And I'm planning for a second shutdown, that it will happen again. I'm always thinking about the worst. What's the worst thing that it's like when you hear these guys talking about when they train, they like to put themselves in the worst positions they could possibly be in. You know, that's how I look at this business too. What is the worst position we could possibly be in? You know, and my number one goal is always, I don't want to lay off any of my employees, and I don't want fighters sitting inactive and not being able to compete. And you know, when you're a professional athlete, you have a very small window of opportunity, a very limited amount of time. You know, we get into all this money shit and the stuff that's going on right now. Everybody acts like this is a fucking career. This isn't a career. This is not a career. This is an opportunity. Anything can happen in any given moment. Knee can blow out. You're back. You're this. You're that. COVID-19. You know, who the hell knows what is coming down the pipeline? So you have to take every opportunity that you can get.
If there was a second lockdown in the United States of America, would it be possible that you could just move essentially the whole company to Abu Dhabi for like months at a time?
I don't know. Even Abu Dhabi shut down when this thing happened.
Is that one of the hardest challenges about this entire thing, is that it literally, you just can't plan? It's like you want to book Khabib, Gaethje.
I promise you this, if it can be done, I will do it.
Thanks, Dana.
If it can be done, I will do it.
I was just curious to hear, like, I know you guys are planning 4 events in Abu Dhabi for the next month, but the plan is like keep going back and forth, Abu Dhabi and Vegas?
What's the question?
If the plan for the UFC is like keep coming back and forth, Abu Dhabi and Vegas for the next month?
We're going to be going back and forth to Abu Dhabi until the world comes back. This is an international business, and most of our fighters are international. And we have to put on so many international fights, or I'll end up smoking all the U.S. talent like that, and we wouldn't be able to put on any events. We're going to be going back and forth to Abu Dhabi, I'm assuming, for a very long time.
And I spoke to Amanda Nunes last week, and she said that she was contemplating a retirement, you know.
That's not true. That's not what I heard. That's not what I heard. I heard that she was just saying, you know, I've achieved everything. I've done this, I've done that. That she's not really contemplating retirement. She's saying, what's next for me?
Well, I did like a 1-hour interview.
Well, you would know better because there's definitely no language barrier between you two. So
yeah,
maybe the language barrier is between me and her.
I just want to explain, like, she was saying that, you know, she already achieved everything in her life, that she doesn't see, like, you know, challenges right now. And she was happy with the UFC financially. It was nothing about money as well. It seems like is a place where she is right now because of her family.
The thing that makes me laugh is when people say, oh, I'm pissed off about financially, whatever, I'm going to retire. Do you guys not get pissed off at work? I'm sure you guys get pissed off at work a lot. Are you going to fucking retire? Yeah, no. Why?
Money.
You can't retire. These guys can retire. She can retire. You know, a lot of these guys can retire. You know, I hope she doesn't. You know, she's one of my favorite people ever. And coming off the performance that she just put on, you know, I think that the beautiful thing was she came out of the Geranime fight, and everybody was like, oh, she looked human, this, that, you know, all the critics were all over. She fought arguably the best female striker of all time, beat her, and she looked human in that fight. Then she came out and put a statement on her last performance. She looked incredible and put on an absolute clinic against one of the toughest women I've ever seen in my life. And after a performance like that, I would hate to think that she would want to retire, but you know, if that's true and that's where she's at right now, then she probably should.
I was just curious to see, like, if you talk to her and if you are planning on talking to her soon.
Yeah. I love that girl. I'm sure we'll talk about it and we'll see what's up. I'm just going to give her some time. You know, they're having a baby, and you know, she's got a lot of cool things going on in her life. I think she's at the point now. You know, she's got a lot of money, and she's probably starting to enjoy herself. And you know, everything changes when you got a lot of money.
And I just have some questions about the Brazilians fighting next month in the Fight Island, you know, starting with Jose Aldo that is going to face Peter Yan, you know, for the bout. what do you think about that fight? And Jose Aldo fighting for the title for Brazil is a huge thing, but a lot of people were also criticizing because he's coming from a loss.
What's the question?
Just,
There's three things at play here. I don't hear well. You have a mask on and an accent. All three of those are disaster
I'll
for
try
me.
like this. So, can you talk about Jose Aldo and Peter Yan fighting for the bantamweight title? A lot of people were criticizing Aldo because he's coming from a loss.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I've pretty much said a million times how I feel about that. A lot of people thought he won the fight. Jose Aldo's one of the tough. That's the kid that Cejudo wanted. Cejudo, that he was next in line for the title shot. How do we go back now and tell him Cejudo retired? So you don't get the fight. And if people disagree with that fight, my point of view on that. Don't watch it. Don't watch the fight if you don't like it. Aldo's been around forever. The guy's a warrior. And to say that Aldo doesn't deserve anything is ridiculous.
What does it represent to him, though, if he gets, a second belt at this point in his career?
What does that mean to him? It's huge. I mean, I guess everybody would be wrong then, wouldn't they, that he didn't deserve the title shot. So, if he goes in and gets absolutely dominated and it's a one-sided fight and Aldo gets destroyed, then they were right and we were wrong, and, it happens.
We also have Gilbert Burns fighting for the title against Kamaru Usman. What do you expect from the fight?
I expect that fight to listen. I've become an Usman fan. You guys remember when Usman came out and gave that was 30% tonight or whatever percentage he said, and I went off on him that night. Ever since that night, the guy's been an absolute stud. The Colby Covington Usman fight is one of the best fights of the year, Gilbert Burns is a well-rounded savage, and this guy wants this fight so bad. I love guys with Gilbert Burns' attitude going in against a guy like Usman. I think the fight's going to be incredible. I think it's going to be an incredible main event, and I'm looking very forward to it.
My last one is Davison Figueiredo against Benavidez, like a rematch that, the first time he didn't make weight. Are anything in place to make sure that he's going to weight this time?
I mean, there's only so much we can do to make sure that somebody's coming in on what we weigh them. We stay on top of them. We make sure that if they need help, they're connected with the UFC Performance Institute and getting, help from them. If they need help with food, we got, trifecta. We have all these things in place that can help these guys, but they have to want to help themselves and they have to work with us. And the only thing to do in this position was to make this fight again. And Benavidez is another guy who's a great guy, has been around forever. The decision was to do the fight again. And so hopefully everything goes right this time.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Dana, I just wanted to follow up on Amanda Nunes. If she were to walk away, what would you do with the women's featherweight belt? Would there still be a featherweight division?
Probably not.
What about for bantamweight? Would there? What kind of timeline?
Yeah, that one will
give
still be
her?
there.
What kind of time?
I literally just told the guys the other day to build that division. Let's get it. Start signing girls. Let's start building that division. And now my girl's talking about retirement. So apparently we got to get on the same page and figure this thing out.
How long would you give Amanda to work things out before you decided to?
She can do whatever she wants to do. She's the queen. She can do whatever she wants. She's got nothing. She's having a bit, like I just said, she's having a baby. She's got all these great things going on in her life right now personally. And professionally, she's done anything that I've ever asked her to do. I mean, to go from, Ronda Rousey to her, it's actually been a joy working with the women in that division, I haven't always seen eye to eye with Holly Holm's people, but Holly Holm is one of the nicest human beings on planet Earth. So dealing with that division has been awesome.
And back on the COVID instances, in case there is another lockdown, have you been able to speak with the Nevada Commission at all to say, hey, this model that we've had here has worked, and would this be something that they would allow to keep in place?
It would be interesting to see.
Thank you.
Be interesting to see.
Anything else? Thanks, guys.
I mean, going in, you knew we were going to do it right. I mean, who thought we weren't going to do it right and we wouldn't, do everything we can. It's like I said, when you look at a lot of these other sports, and you guys and other people try to compare us to the other sports, you can't compare us to the other sports. By the time we're done with Fight Island, we'll be in 10 fights or more. These guys haven't even put on a game yet. You know, look at how safe it's been done. I know at first, a lot of people were scared and a lot of things. Do you guys feel scared coming to these things anymore? Do you feel like you're ever, you know, and the athletes, our employees, everybody, we take care of our people. You know, I know that there's always the thing about, you know, oh, we don't make enough money. That shit's going to go on forever. Forever long I'm here, and then long after I'm gone, there's going to be shit about nobody makes enough money. But nobody can ever say that we don't take care of our people, from, you know, whether it's you guys, the commission, our employees, the fighters, corners, whoever it is. We're going to make sure that everybody that comes to a UFC event is safe. We'll spend the money and we'll do what it takes to do it right. So my point to saying that was, you know, I don't think they didn't think we would do it right the first time, but hopefully if this thing goes down again, they know that we can do this and we will do it right. If not, plan B, which I don't have yet.